All right, Ben, it's great to have you with us today, and I was loving this offline conversation we were having.
Unofficial conversation.
Yeah. How are you enjoying your stay in this hot Dubai?
Well, I'm very comfortable in Dubai, and it's heat and the place, because I've been coming here for many years for the literary festival.
Yeah.
So I feel like an unofficial citizen, certainly a literary citizen.
Super, Ben. So I'm going to take you back in your journey, and I want to know all about your life. And I want to start by asking you, when did you start reading, and then when did that move into you wanting to start writing?
Well, I began reading very early. This is a fact that shocks a lot of people, and certainly shocked visitors to our house in London when they came to see my parents. They'd come in and they'll see this person behind a copy of the Times, and they always used to greet the person as an elder, till I dropped the newspaper and there was this 4-year-old kid, which was an embarrassment to my mother. So I began reading very, very early, something that wonderfully my daughter has picked up as well. And the advantage of early reading is that you get to read many of the essential texts that you need at the back of your brain as a writer early. Some of these things are not really good to read much later if you're going to write. It's good to have half of Shakespeare. It's good to have Homer at the back of your head. It's good to have Greek and Latin and Indian and African legends at the back of your head. It's good to have the basic myths of the world at the back of your consciousness. So when you start to write, you're already drawing upon the oldest traditions of thought and storytelling in the world.
Right. And when you began writing, you started by doing these short stories about real life incidents around you. So was that like a prelude to writing novels?
Yeah, I began with a sense of outrage. I wish I'd begun with a sense of wonder, but I began with outrage. In the neighborhood where I lived, I saw that landlords, when they felt like it, could just turn somebody out of their house, just throw them out into the street. Say, I don't want you in my house anymore. I don't care if you're paying the rent out now. And they just threw your stuff out in the streets. And I was surprised there was no legal recourse. There was nothing to actually curb this tyrannical power of landlords. I was just surprised, because I saw neighbors with their things out in the street with their children. Sometimes it'd be 4 or 5 children just out with nowhere to go. They've just been thrown out. So I wrote an essay about it. Sent it to the newspapers. Were very surprised a week later to open the newspaper, and there was my name. I was like, what's my name doing in this paper? And they'd published it without telling me. Wow. And I did some more, and they didn't publish those. So instead I wrote short stories, and I learned very early on that you can write stories about anything. Yeah. That for me was one of the biggest discoveries that I've never quite got over, the wonder of it.
Yeah. Well, your books like The Comic Destiny and other books that you've written, they all kind of, always bringing out new forms of expressions. Is that like a deliberate attempt to always create something new?
It's deliberate and it's not deliberate. How to make sense of life. There are many impulses that drive me as a writer. One of them is, of course, compassion, a feeling for the suffering of my fellow human beings, a sense of outrage, sense of justice. Yeah. Another is a sense of wonder. I'm driven by wonder, injustice, love, and more increasingly, climate activism. So how to make sense of life? Life doesn't come in one package. You walk out of your house every day, it's different. The weather is different, you feel different. So why should we always have one form for this mystery of life, which is constantly changing? I think one of the most important things we do as artists is to find new forms for the extraordinary nature of our experiences and our understanding. The form determines how what I'm telling you hits you. Yeah. If I use the same form for different experiences, after a while, the form itself, you just fall asleep, because boy is going to meet girl, boy is going to fall in love with girl, boy is going to get married. Do you know what I'm saying? After a while, you get bored with that. We need new ways of of angling the human experience. A story is not a story by itself. A story is the form in which it's told.
Yeah.
Form is very, very powerful. Form helps us evolve. Form helps us understand how complex and how rich this world is. We teach our children many things, but we don't teach them enough new forms by which to understand reality. Because reality is vast. Reality is we don't know 1/1,000,000th of what reality is, and that's because we're still limited in our forms of perception of reality.
True.
Open up the form, and reality opens up new wonders and new miracles.
It's a great thing you said. It's the form in which you tell that story. So that's why storytelling becomes so important, whether it's through a book, a story that you write, or it's a movie that you watch.
Or a poem that you write. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Right, tell me, I'm not trying to give away your age here, but you won the Booker Prize in 1991.
I might have been 3 years old at the time.
Could be. But how was that experience for you?
It was, in many ways, it was a transforming experience. I mean, over the years, you try and play it down a little bit. But you see, the thing is, there's some things that happen to you in your career, and they're not a one incident happening. Many things are one incident happenings.
Yeah.
But something like winning the Booker Prize is something that just goes on opening. It goes on opening doors, opening perceptions, opening the heart. It makes people willing to take a chance, willing to listen to you. The book has become such a global brand and a global success in terms of the quality of the choices of the books.
Yeah. Offline, we were having a conversation about how much you used to like Bollywood. So let's tell our audience what do you love the most about Bollywood, and who's that one actor in your mind still sticking through all these years?
You're not supposed to have brought her offline unofficial
No, we need to tell our
conversation.
audience, of course.
But Bollywood. The Bollywood was one of the cinematic trends that I grew up on in Nigeria. Big presence in Nigeria when I was growing up. And the one figure I'm amazed by Amitabh Bachchan.
Amitabh Bachchan.
I'm really amazed. Not only that he's still around, but he's around in such a dignified, and he keeps finding new audiences, new modes of cinema to take part in, which is how it should be. He's a great elder, and it should transcend Bollywood. It should transcend Hollywood. It should go wherever he wants and take his skills.
Do you ever imagine one of your books being made into a Bollywood movie someday?
There was talk. I won't mention
really?
her name. I won't mention her name, but I'll only say that there was a very important director who wanted to turn a book of mine called Dangerous Love into, and I'm still waiting for your call.
Hopefully this interview gets you that call, that call back.
Yeah, and that novel is perfect for that kind of treatment, because it's about young love. It's about the clash between the tradition and the office. It's also about tragedy, but it's also about courage. It's about the city. Yeah.
Superb. Well, we have only so much time, but I'd love to keep having these conversations with you, offline maybe. But thank you so much for joining us today. We've loved hearing your journey and your passion and everything that you've spoken. It's so very inspiring.
Priya, you've been lovely to talk to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.